OnlyF ladies, what is your creepiest story? Story 1. Okay, so this dude, right? He started out pretty normal. Like a regular subscriber commenting on my stuff, tipping occasionally. Then, he started getting specific. Like really specific. He'd ask for these weird, niche requests. Stuff that made my skin crawl. I tried to ignore it, but he wouldn't stop. Then, he started sending me these long, rambling messages about how we were soulmates and how he was going to rescue me from my fake life. I blocked him, obviously, but then he started making new accounts. And then, he started commenting on my other social media, even my personal stuff. I was freaked out. I changed all my passwords, locked down my accounts, even got a security camera for my apartment. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if he was watching me. One night, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a picture of my apartment window. I haven't slept properly since. Story 2. We had this client, a real up-and-comer, super talented, great content. But she attracted the wrong kind of attention. This one subscriber, he was a high tipper, so initially, we didn't flag him. But his messages were off. He'd send these detailed descriptions of what he wanted to do to her, stuff that was way beyond the realm of fantasy. He started sending gifts, expensive stuff, but with these creepy notes attached. We told her to block him, but he kept making new accounts. We tried to get the platform to ban him, but they were slow to respond. Then he started sending her personal information, her address, her family's names, stuff he couldn't have gotten from her online presence. We had to involve the police. It was a whole mess. We had to relocate her, change her name, the works. It's a scary reminder that sometimes the people behind the screen aren't just harmless weirdos. Story 3. There was this time a user, he was always asking for custom content, nothing too crazy at first. It was just specific scenarios, but he always wanted the eyes to be the focal point. He described them in detail, the color, the way they moved. He'd write these long, poetic descriptions. Then it escalated. He wanted videos where I was crying or looking distressed, but he was very particular about the tears and the angle. He'd pay a lot, so I agreed, which looking back I regret. Then he started asking for videos where I was talking directly to the camera, but not saying anything, just looking. It was unsettling. He said it was like he was capturing my soul. I stopped replying. Then he sent me a video, a compilation of all the videos I'd sent him, but with his voice dubbed over them. He was whispering these things. I deleted my account for a while. Story 4. Look, people get weird online, it's a given. But this guy, he took it to another level. He was obsessed with my clients' feet. Yeah, feet. He wanted pictures, videos, descriptions, the whole 9 yards. Fine, whatever, people have their things. But then, he started asking for specific requests. He wanted videos of her walking on certain surfaces, like dirt, sand, even other stuff. We were like, nope, hard pass. But he wouldn't take no for an answer. He kept sending messages, trying to negotiate. Then, he started sending pictures of his own feet, doing things. It was disgusting. We blocked him, reported him, the works. But he kept coming back. It was like a game to him. We had to get the platform involved, and even then, it took weeks to get him banned. The whole thing was just gross. Story 5. I get a lot of strange requests. It's part of the job. But this one guy, he was different. He wasn't aggressive or demanding, just persistent. He'd ask these seemingly innocent questions about my daily routine, my hobbies, my favorite places. At first, I didn't think much of it. But then the questions started getting more personal, more specific. He asked about my apartment, my neighbors, even my commute. It was like he was building a profile of me. I started getting this feeling like I was being watched. One day, I got a message from him with a picture of me walking my dog in the park. It was a picture he couldn't have gotten from my online presence. I deleted my account that day. I don't know who he was or what he wanted, but I know that I won't want to find out. Story 6. So, like I'm bouncing between hostels in Southeast Asia, right? Trying to find myself, whatever that means. Mostly it's just me and my laptop, churning out content for some random travel blog, trying to make enough to cover the next hostel. I get this message on some obscure forum like Deep Web Level Weird. It's this guy, or at least I think it's a guy, going by some cryptic username. They're talking about digital shadows and how everyone online leaves a trace, a digital ghost. They're saying they can see mine, like they know where I've been, what I've been doing, even what I'm thinking. At first, I'm like, okay, troll. But then they start dropping details like the name of the guest house I stayed in last week, the weird street food I ate, even a screenshot of a conversation I had with a random backpacker. I'm freaked. I try to trace the IP, but it's bouncing all over the place, like through a dozen proxies. I changed my passwords, installed a VPN, even tried to go offline for a few days. But it's like they're always there, lurking in the digital shadows. They start sending me these GIFs, like digital art of my face, morphed and distorted, or audio clips of my voice, spliced and reassembled. It's like they're trying to build a digital version of me, a ghost in the machine. I start having these weird dreams, like I'm trapped in a maze of code, and they're watching me from every screen. I'm thinking about ditching the laptop, going completely off the grid, but then I remember I'm already a ghost, a digital nomad, drifting through the internet, leaving traces wherever I go. And maybe, just maybe, they're right. Maybe we all leave digital shadows, and maybe, just maybe, someone's watching. I don't know. I'm starting to think I'm losing it. Or maybe I'm just finally finding myself in the digital shadows. Story 7. My whole thing is intimacy, right? Creating that connection, that feeling of closeness through sound. Whispers, soft touches, the rustle of fabric. People crave that, the feeling of being heard, of being seen. I get this request from a regular, but it's different. He wants a custom stream, just for him, no audience. He wants me to describe things, textures, sensations, but not in a sensual way. More like clinical. He wants me to describe the feeling of cold metal, the texture of rough fabric, the sound of my own heartbeat. He wants me to talk about the space around me, the shadows, the silence. It's unsettling, but he's a high tipper, so I agree. I set up the stream, dim the lights, and start to talk. I describe the feeling of the microphone in my hand, the cool air on my skin, the sound of my own breathing. I describe the shadows in the room, the way they move and shift in the dim light. I describe the silence, the way it presses in on me, the way it makes me feel small and vulnerable. He asks me to describe my pulse, the sound of my blood rushing through my veins. He wants me to describe the feeling of my own skin, the way it stretches and moves. It's getting weird. I start to feel like I'm not alone in the room, like someone is watching me, listening to my every word. He asked me to describe the feeling of being watched. I end the stream. I don't hear from him again. I don't do custom streams anymore. Story 8. Picture this. I'm in the produce section, selecting avocados, when a familiar voice interrupts my contemplation. It's a subscriber, recognized from the digital realm, now rendered flesh and blood. He proceeded to engage in a display of acute social awkwardness, a symphony of blushing and stammering. He managed to articulate his appreciation for my content before executing a hasty retreat. I naturally shared this anecdote with my online community, who found the situation highly amusing. Apparently, my presence is noteworthy in the realm of fresh produce. Not terrifying, but a delightful exercise in real-world awkwardness. Story 9. There was this user, always asking for custom vids, nothing too extreme at first. He just wanted me to talk about textures, sensations, focusing on the sound of my voice. Then it escalated. He wanted me to just stare at the camera, saying nothing. He called it capturing my essence. It felt off. I stopped replying. Then he sent me a mashup of my videos, with his voice dubbed over them, whispering these unsettling things. I felt exposed and invaded. I didn't delete my account, but I became very selective about my uploads, and I'm very careful about who I interact with. Story 10. We had this 19-year-old client, huge following, real talent. But she attracted a predator. This subscriber, a high roller, was sending these disturbing fantasies. Hyper-violent, hyper-specific. We told her to shut him down, but he kept circumventing the blocks. Then he started sending her personal data, doxing her basically. We had to get law enforcement involved. It was a whole production. We relocated her, wiped her online presence, the works. It's a stark reminder that the internet isn't just full of harmless weirdos. It's also full of people who are dangerous. Story 11. It started with a simple request. A custom video, nothing out of the ordinary. He wanted me to wear a specific outfit, something I'd worn in a previous post. Okay, fine. Then he wanted me to reenact a scene from a video, but with a slight variation. He wanted me to say a specific phrase, a sentence that felt off. It wasn't overtly sexual, just weirdly possessive. He tipped generously, so I did it. But then, the requests got more frequent, more specific. He wanted videos of me in different locations, describing what I saw, what I felt. He wanted me to talk about my dreams, my fears, my insecurities. He started to feel like he was trying to build a narrative, a story where I was the main character, but he was the director. He'd send these long messages, detailing the scenes he wanted, the emotions he wanted me to convey. It wasn't just about the visuals anymore, it was about control. One night, he sent me a script. A full-blown script with dialogue, stage directions, everything. He wanted me to act out a scene, A scene where I was vulnerable, submissive. It was too much. I told him no, I couldn't do it. He didn't take it well. He started sending me these angry messages, accusing me of leading him on, of betraying his trust. He said he knew things about me, things I hadn't told anyone. He said he could make my life difficult. I was terrified. I deactivated my account, changed my number, and haven't looked back since. The money wasn't worth the feeling of being watched, of being controlled. Story 12. We had a client, a well-known name, someone who'd crossed over into mainstream attention. That brought a whole other level of attention. It wasn't just the usual weird requests, it was the sheer volume. Every day, hundreds of messages, thousands of comments, a constant barrage of noise. We had to hire extra staff just to manage it. And then there were the fans. Not the regular subscribers, but the ones who were obsessed. They'd track her every move, analyze her every post, try to decipher hidden messages in her content. They'd send her gifts, unsolicited and often inappropriate. They'd show up at her public appearances, demanding her attention. It was a constant battle, trying to protect her privacy, trying to keep her safe. We had to hire security, install surveillance systems, even change her travel routes. It was exhausting. And then, there was the constant pressure from the platform, from the media, from everyone who wanted a piece of her. It was like she was a commodity, not a person. She ended up taking a long break from everything. I don't know if she'll ever come back. Story 13. This user, right, started out like any other, tipping, commenting, the usual fan stuff. Then the requests got granular. Like, wear this shade of lipstick, or pose with this specific prop. I was like, okay, weird, but whatever. Then he started asking for details about my life, my apartment, my neighborhood. Red flag. I told him to back off, but he wouldn't quit. He started sending these long, rambling messages like he was narrating my day, every single move. I blocked him, but he kept making burner accounts, like a new one every few hours. Then I found out he was scraping my other socials, even the lockdown ones. I was bugging. I deactivated my account, changed all my passwords, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't worth the digital stalking. Story 14. Attending a convention, I encountered an individual of notable familiarity. After a moment of cognitive processing, I ascertained her identity and content creator. She was in costume, which obfuscated her recognition, but did not eliminate it. I opted for a discreet approach, observing her performance from the audience. Her stage presence was engaging, her humor sharp. I later approached her vendor booth, employing a carefully constructed conversational gambit. We engaged in a brief, mutually amusing exchange. It was a peculiar, yet ultimately unremarkable interaction. Not creepy, but a refreshingly normal encounter. Story 15. I started the platform because I was lonely. I thought it would be a way to connect with people, to feel seen. But it wasn't like that at all. It was just transactional. People wanted what they wanted, and they paid for it. There was no connection, no intimacy, just requests and tips. And then there was the silence. The silence between the requests, the silence when I was alone in my apartment, the silence when I was trying to sleep. It was deafening. I started to feel like I was living in a bubble, isolated from the real world. I'd spend hours online, creating content, interacting with subscribers, but it didn't feel real. It was like I was playing a character, a version of myself that existed only online. I started to feel like I was losing myself, like I was becoming that character. I started to have panic attacks, these sudden waves of anxiety that would leave me gasping for air. I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was still me. I ended up deleting my account, and I haven't been online much since. Story 16. I decided to do a cooking stream, right? I thought it'd be cute, maybe a little sexy. Me making some fancy pasta dish or something. Turns out I'm a disaster in the kitchen. Like a full-on fiery, flour-covered disaster. I set off the smoke alarm, dropped an entire jar of tomato sauce on a white top, and nearly set my oven mitts on fire. Meanwhile, the chat is going wild. People are making memes, suggesting increasingly ridiculous ingredients, and just generally roasting me. At one point, I tried to flip a pancake, and it landed on my head. I looked like a powdered wig. I ended up ordering takeout and eating it on camera while reading out the funniest comments. It was a train wreck, but my subscriber count went through the roof. Apparently, people love watching me fail spectacularly. Who knew? Not creepy, but definitely hysterical. Story 17. We were handling a client who was doing well, steady growth, good engagement. Then, we noticed a pattern. One subscriber, he was tipping large amounts, but his messages were coded. He'd use phrases, symbols that didn't make sense. We ran them through various decoders and found they were coordinates. At first, we thought it was a joke, but then we realized the coordinates were getting closer to her home. He was tracking her. We immediately contacted law enforcement. They were able to trace the IP address and found that he lived in a nearby town. The police found a detailed map of her neighborhood, with her apartment marked. He had been planning to visit her. The whole thing was terrifying. She moved immediately, and we changed her professional name. We also put a stop to any private meet and greets. Story 18. Look, I've seen it all. The weird requests, the creepy messages, the guys who think they own you. It's part of the job. You learn to filter it out, to ignore the noise. But this one guy, he was different. He wasn't aggressive or threatening, just persistent. He'd ask these seemingly innocent questions about my life, my interests, my dreams. At first, I thought he was just being friendly. But then, I noticed a pattern. He was asking the same questions, over and over again, but in slightly different ways. It was like he was trying to build a profile of me, to understand me, to get inside my head. It was unsettling. I told him to back off, but he wouldn't stop. He said he just wanted to get to know me, to understand me. I told him that he didn't know me, that he only knew the version of me that I presented online. He didn't like that. He said that I was lying, that I was hiding something. He said that he could see through my mask. I blocked him, but I still think about him sometimes. I wonder what he wanted, what he thought he saw. I wonder if he was right. Story 19. Our client, bless her heart, possessed an idiosyncratic understanding of digital broadcasting. She conceptualized live streaming as a pre-recorded loop, a notion we diligently corrected over numerous tutorials. Explaining the nuances of webcam operation, microphone muting, and the avoidance of feline posterior exposure to a paying audience proved a Herculean task. One memorable incident involved a costume play broadcast, where in her desktop, a college of feline memes became the unintentional backdrop. The Q&A session, wherein she recited her grocery list instead of subscriber inquiries, further cemented her reputation for technological novelty. Ultimately, we retained a dedicated tech consultant, a more cost-effective solution than prolonged psychiatric intervention. Not sinister, merely a masterclass in digital ineptitude. Story 20. I patronize a content creator known for her avant-garde approach to online entertainment. One evening, she attempted an auditory sensory stimulation broadcast. However, the ambience was disrupted by her intoxicated roommate and his partner's domestic dispute, a cacophony of raised voices, crashing dishware, and impromptu karaoke. The content creator, valiantly attempting to maintain composure, succumbed to bouts of uncontrollable laughter. The audience naturally found this highly entertaining, engaging in spirited commentary and hypothetical scenarios for the escalating conflict. I, for one, deemed the experience worthy of additional financial compensation. Not alarming, but a masterfully executed exercise in unintentional comedy.
That's a wrap for this video. Make sure to leave your relatable story down in the comments. I would love to make a video on them. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.